Okay, variables and expressions. So remember, there's two key words that tell you to switch. One of them is if you see the word then you're going to have to switch. And then the other word is if you see the word from. Okay, so than or from. If you see those words, you're going to have to change the order. So whatever's first will be last and what's last will be first. Okay? The very first thing you're going to do when you have an algebraic expression, when you're looking at algebraic expression, you want to identify the key word. And the key word is going to tell you which operation to use. Now operation, when I say operation, I mean either add, subtract, multiply, or divide. That's what operation is. And I have a crack the code which will allow you to look at, it will be on one sheet of paper. I wrote mine down so we can look at them. But you can look for the words on here and it will tell you which operation to use. Okay, so that's the very first thing you're going to do. So look at number 1. I want to identify the key word. The key word here is decreased. So where do I see decreased? I see decreased here, which is subtraction. Okay? So I'm going to subtract. So this is subtraction. Now, it says by, so I do not change the order. Okay? So I don't change the order. I'm going to identify numbers and variables. I have an A, and I have a 7. And since it said by, I do not change the order. So since A is first, I put A. Okay? You just write the expression using numbers, variables, and operations. So A, decreased is subtraction, and then you got the 7. And that's it. There's your algebraic expression, A minus 7. Okay? Next one that we have, and I'm just going to clear that off so we can do that again on number 2. Subtract from. Okay, subtract from. So look through, where do you see subtract from? And you'll look, subtract from, that is on the subtraction. Okay, and honestly it is, subtract, so that it did tell you. It says from. Now remember, when it's from, you've got to switch the order. So I'm not going to go in the order it gives me. So instead of 8 going at the front, 8 is actually going to be at the back. Right? Instead of D being at the back, it's D is in the front. So it's minus in between, D minus 8. Anytime you see the word from or than, you're going to switch. Okay? And that was number 3. Let's go ahead and do number 5. And I realize I'm just going down in the row, but I'll move these parts in it. Less than. So this is number 5, less than. So here is less than, and that is my subtraction. Now remember, if you see the word from or than, and there's a than, you have to switch. So don't start with the 4. So the 4 doesn't go first. The M goes first. The 4 goes last. You have to change the order if you see than or from. And then the minus goes in between. So N minus 4. Okay? Number 2, quotient. Where do you see quotient? Quotient is under division. Okay? Now on division, you will always just go in the order that it says. So now remember, I have to identify my numbers and my variables. So there's C and there's 7. Those are my numbers and my variables. I have to go in that order. So C is going to go first. And then where you see the and, that is your division. C divided by 7. So when it says quotient of, it will say blank and blank. You just go in that order. Okay? 7, C divided by 7. Where the and is, that's your division. Okay? Twice. Twice. So look for the word twice. And I've given you a hint, it means times 2. So you're multiplying whatever's behind it by 2. Now in algebra, you always put the number first. So that would be 2 times C. And you don't have to write the dot anymore. So I'm going to expect you to write 2C. That means 2 times C, twice C. So this is how you need to write it. The number, which is the coefficient, goes in front of the variable, 2C. And the next one we have is square. So square, look for that on your list. And squaring means to the second power. And I do not have that on here, so that is something that we will need to add. Square means to put to the second power. Cube means to put to the third power. So I'm going to square it. So I take my variable, y, and I put to the second power. Now, there are 4 that I want you to try. So I'm going to spread these out so that you can see them. And I'm going to clear off the screen so that, get those numbers put away. You got addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. And you can pause this and look at and try those. But here are your words so that you can look at them. And I want you to try 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay? And when you get done, then you can try the next step. All right, now this time we're going to do the exact same thing, but there's 2 operations. So there's 2 key words. Okay? The first word on number 11 that I see is triple. Triple a number decreased by 10. The other word that I see is decreased by. Okay, so there's 2 operations. Now I want to look for those 2 things on my list. So I have some room to spread those out here. So I want to look for them. Triple a number decreased by, well, decreased we know is subtraction. So this is going to be my subtraction. It says by, so I do not switch. Do not switch my numbers. Triple. Where do we see triple? Triple means times 3. So I'm going to multiply this by 3. Now, you're supposed to look for numbers or variables. I see my 10. I don't see a variable. Remember, a number is just a letter. But right here where it says a number, I can use that n. That is my variable to represent a number. Since I'm multiplying, I put the number first. So 3n, decreased is your minus, and then you have your 10. So 3n minus 10 is the algebraic expression to represent that. Number 12. So I've got some new words. The new words 5 more than, n squared. Okay. More than is the addition. Now, there's more and there's more than. Remember on the more than, since it's a than, you've got to switch the order. Now what that means is 5 is not going to go first. 5 is going to go at the very, very back. Okay? More than is plus. So put that plus right next to the 5. The 5 will go right behind the plus sign. The n squared. So that was what we added. Remember, squared is when you have to the second. That means you have an exponent of 2. Okay? What do I have squared? I have this n. So in the front of the plus sign, I'm going to put n with the exponent 2. So n squared plus 5 is 5 more than n squared. Number 13, I've got 2 keywords. Twice. And it means times 2. And then I have increase by. And increase by means to add. So addition. And then twice means times 2. So twice what? Twice w. And you put the number first. 2w plus, and then you have a 6. Okay? I do not switch the order because it said by. You only switch the order when it says than or from. Number 12, and I went down instead of across again, sorry about that. More than is plus. Squared is when you have the n to the exponent 2. Now, it says then, so when you see then, you have to, oh, we already did number 12. Sorry, I cleared it off. We're on number 14. Subtracted from, and then the other keyword is cube. Now, from, since it says from, I have to switch. Okay, so instead of 8 being in the front, 8's going to be at the back. So make sure you put the minus 8. Okay? Cubed. Cubed means when you have an exponent of 3. So w to the 3rd power. There's my variable. Okay? number and the variable, w to the third power minus 8. I had to switch the order. So you try 15 and 16, and that's how you write algebraic expressions.